Let's face it, the Vice President of the United States is still kind of a question mark. There's one thing we do know about JD Vance, though: what he loves to eat. Joe Biden made headlines during his vice presidency when he made known his intense love of ice cream.
I'm an ice cream guy. Is the ice cream down that way?
In a way, JD Vance has followed in Biden's footsteps by showing some serious love toward this sweet treat. Not only did Vance visit at least one ice cream shop while on the campaign trail, but he jokingly posted that he and Trump would work to prevent a chili-flavored ice cream from ever happening. He also once mentioned ice cream in a tweet to Ted Cruz, asking his followers which flavor the senator should bring after his sports team loses. The two had made a wager on a sports game between their chosen teams, with the loser bringing beer and food. In addition to his love for ice cream, Vance also seems to enjoy donuts. But you probably already know that.
The zoo has come to town. Thank you for letting us come in here.
During the 2024 presidential campaign, Vance visited a bakery in Georgia to buy up fresh donuts, and his interactions with the staff there quickly went viral on social media.
Just everything, yeah. It'll be a lot of glaze, cinnamon rolls, just whatever makes sense.
But hey, maybe Vance was too busy thinking about donuts to give a halfway human-sounding answer. We certainly know he's a fan of sweet treats and other desserts. Speaking at one event, for example, Vance revealed he loves to bake at home. When on the road without his kids, he will sometimes prepare treats ahead of time so they can enjoy his baking even if he can't be with them. According to Vance, his baking skills include some tasty cinnamon rolls and chocolate chip scones. Donald Trump often makes headlines for his love of fast food at McDonald's, but JD Vance holds a different restaurant close to his heart. Cracker Barrel makes a special appearance in his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy. In the book, Vance explains how he and his grandmother loved to go there together. Though he held the chain in high regard, his Ivy League colleagues thought quite differently. One passage in the book recalls an occasion on which he took a Yale buddy to the restaurant, believing it to be a suitably high-class establishment. He ended up quite embarrassed in front of his upper-class friend. Vance revealed in the book that he never took any of his well-to-do friends to Cracker Barrel after that. Does he still get the cravings now that he's in a different tax bracket? Jury's out on that one. You'll find biscuits on the breakfast table in many American families' homes. But JD Vance thinks that all American families should follow suit. In December 2024, he took to X, formerly Twitter, to show the American people how he hand-makes biscuits with one of his young children. In the same video, Vance also shares a solid baking tip from his grandmother. The secret to a great biscuit, he says, is to use frozen butter. Typically, recipes call for soft or even melted butter, which makes the mixing process much easier. To get around this, Vance prefers to grate a stick of frozen butter. This seems to give the biscuits a flakier texture without becoming inconvenient to prepare. Sharing family baking tips with followers on X, that's one way to win over the American people.
To alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Americans love beer, so much so in fact that around a third of those who drink prefer it. Americans also love American-made products, and well over half of the beer consumed in the U.S. is considered domestic. So it only makes sense that a vice president would be big on the idea of Americans enjoying a good beer, and that's certainly the case for JD Vance. Vance has not only been photographed and filmed drinking beer on the campaign trail, but he was also spotted pouring beer for Green Bay fans in Wisconsin. But while most of these moments were met with positive reactions from his supporters, one in particular led to some embarrassing headlines. When asked why voters would want to have a drink with him, Vance stumbled a bit in his answer.
They'd want to have a beer with me because I actually do like to drink beer, and I probably like to drink beer a little bit too much, but that's okay. I'm sure the media won't give me too much crap over that.
As he predicted, the media didn't spend too much time on that story, but social media had a field day, as many commenters mocked the VP-to-be for his uneasy tone. Vance met his wife Usha while he was in law school at Yale, and they've been married since 2014. After over a decade of marriage to an Indian-American woman, he was bound to pick up a few things about his wife's family's food and culture. When she introduced Vance after Trump's confirmation as president-elect, Usha revealed that her mother and JD bonded over cooking.
He adapted to my vegetarian diet and learned to cook food from my mother.
The Vances seem to have a tight-knit family. Cooking seems to be a common theme in the family's way of life, and Vance's mother-in-law has passed down some of her own know-how to him. As Vance has children with Indian heritage, the knowledge imparted by his mother-in-law not only helps him understand his wife and her family's culture, but also his children's. Being married into an Indian-American family means that JD Vance has learned to make some seriously delicious vegetarian recipes. Indeed, Vance has often spoken about learning to love his wife's vegetarian lifestyle. It doesn't seem like taking on this new way of life was much of a chore for Vance either. He praised his wife's cooking abilities and Indian food in general on the Joe Rogan Experience.
I'm married to an
vegetarian
Indian
food.
American. They make very good vegetarian food.
They make the best vegetarian food.
Vance mentioned paneer, rice, and chickpeas as specific foods that he enjoys. Luckily for him, plant-based Indian food is not only delicious, but also nutritional. These foods tend to be rich in vitamins, protein, and fiber-packed ingredients, and Vance himself has cited this diet as part of the reason he managed to lose so much weight. Despite cooking vegetarian Indian food and promoting a plant-based diet, JD Vance isn't all in on a meat-free lifestyle.
Vegetarian food can actually be quite good.
Yes.
I don't, I still like, I'm kind of one of these people where if I don't have a piece of meat, it's not a complete meal.
In fact, he was once described as a meat and potatoes guy by his wife, and he is still often seen eating meat when out and about. For example, Vance was seen eating a hot dog and fries in 2024, and Usha claims that he even competed in the Ohio State Fair's rib eating contest back in 2022. Notably, Vance also seems to enjoy sourcing his own meat. In 2024, he posted photos of himself and his son fishing on Instagram, and it looks like they got a few lucky catches too. Vance seems to enjoy cooking breakfast for his kids. In one ex-post, he mentioned having just made a bunch of toast and fried eggs for his 3 small children. Interestingly, eggs have come up more than once in Vance's political career. In particular, the 50th vice president has come under fire a couple of times for comments he made about eggs. In one instance, he stated that eggs cost $1 more than they were, a mistake that the media quickly ridiculed. Vance also made a comment suggesting that his children ate an absurd amount of eggs each morning.
Let's talk about eggs, because these guys actually eat about 14 eggs every single morning.
The comment was then taken literally by a number of people online, and again roundly mocked. The campaign trail is long and grueling, which usually makes for hungry politicians. To give him some of that much-needed energy, Vance has often been spotted grabbing breakfast and dinner with his family while on the campaign trail. When he is traveling, he makes a point to stop off at local restaurants, and he typically has his wife, 3 young children, and Secret Service in tow. Sometimes he even shares with his constituents. In 2024, he ordered a tray of root beer floats for voters at an A&W in Michigan. Having previously lived in Cincinnati, the Vance family likely had their favorite spots to eat in the Queen City. But it seems they'll need to get to know the DC food scene for the duration of his vice presidency. America's reliance on meat can make eating a nightmare for vegetarians, vegans, and people trying to stay healthy. Plant-based meat substitutes and other similar products might help in that regard, but it appears that JD Vance isn't convinced. In his appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience, Vance warned vegetarians against these products.
Do not eat this disgusting fake meat.
Instead, Vance praised veggie-based Indian dishes. Indian food in general includes quite a lot of protein-rich foods, from legumes to nuts. Vance opts for these when following his wife's plant-based diet, rather than incorporating processed meat substitutes geared toward vegetarians.